Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out ALPHARIUS OMEGON, Lord of Serpents, Warhammer 40k Lore by the Remembrancer. Yes guys, haven't checked this this creator out on the channel before, so I am excited to do so. Was it last week or the week before that, I was asking chat to post some videos, some lore videos on ALPHARIUS. I've heard the memes, of course, I've heard all the memes. I'm ALPHARIUS, you're ALPHARIUS, we're all ALPHARIUS, all that nonsense, right? But I really don't know much about his legion or about him at all. And I guess that's kind of the point, very much shrouded in mystery, not a lot to be known about him, I guess, but I do at least want like some sort of semblance of an idea about him, at least so I can like kind of reference him, at least so I can get in on some of those jokes, you know what I'm saying? So I don't really have a whole lot of context to start this one off with. We're basically gonna let the Remembrancer take it away, let him talk about ALPHARIUS, and we're gonna see what we have to think about it. If you guys enjoy, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and of course leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Big thank you to all of our members, all of our Hastati, and our Principes, Dagenhart and Hobbit, and of course our Prefect Fear. Appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day. And with that, guys, I say we get right into this video. We're gonna make sure the captions are on. Captions are already on. Actually, we're gonna leave a like on this first. We're gonna leave a like. We're gonna wait till we subscribe to the end of the video because new creator, you know, we don't know exactly what we're dealing with yet. I'm sure I'm gonna enjoy, but you know, we got to make sure. We got to do our due diligence here. Captions are on. Quality is 1080p. We're gonna full screen it. Without any further delay, guys, let's get it.
This is my record.
Oh.
And all the records are lies.
Oh. ALPHARIUS, okay.
The primarchs of his Imperium are beyond the comprehension of mortal men.
Right.
Gifted great power and mastery of humanity's most venerated traits.
Oh, damn, dude.
The sons of the Emperor would mold the galaxy's future with their actions.
Right.
Yet there exists a primarch whose very nature is shrouded in mystery, whose deeds have spun a web of deceit so impenetrable that even his gene sons fail to understand its purpose. The twin serpent of the Hydra, ALPHARIUS OMEGON.
See, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I almost thought
ALPHARIUS OMEGON.
ALPHARIUS OMEGON, so that's first and last name. I'm not gonna lie, I almost thought they were two different primarchs for some reason, you know? I almost thought they were two different people, because I always hear like ALPHARIUS and OMEGON, you know? Maybe they are, maybe I'm not gonna speak too intricately into it just yet. We don't know what we're dealing with. I don't know what I'm dealing with. So yeah, maybe I'm speaking too soon. Let's keep going.
The origins of the Primarch of the 20th Legion would be shrouded.
Right, so one guy, okay.
Yet despite such an enigmatic shred of information, records have survived the long millennia. Accounts vary, with some speculating that the Lord of Serpents would be discovered by the 16th Legion, the Lunar Wolves, during the Great Crusade. Engaging with the 16th Legion's fleet, with his own armada of vessels, though inferior in their firepower, they would outmaneuver their opposition and employ many devious tricks. Enraging the Primarch of the Lunar Wolves, Horus Lupercal, the future War Master of his Imperium would personally give chase to the Hydra's fleet.
Really?
Annihilating the Armada with their superior warships, the Lunar Wolves would be oblivious to the infiltration of an assassin aboard their flagship, the Vengeful Spirit, who would slay the Primarch's elite Justeran honor guard. Recognizing the assailant to be his brother, Horus would accept the last Primarch into the fold of the Imperium. This is a lie, for another account states that the Primarch of the 20th would be found on a desolate world at the edge of the Mandraoran stars.
So even the origins of like how he came to be, what his kind of like initial startup was, it's kind of all like up for debate almost, it seems like here. It doesn't seem like there is any like correct story when it comes to his origins or where he came from. I don't even know if there is like a true what's the word, like early life like segment for him. I don't know if we even like get that accurate with it. Damn. So yeah, really not much is known at all. He's just kind of like going over like what's a lie, misdirection, right? Yeah, okay. Damn.
Found on a desolate world at the edge of the Mandraoran stars. Surviving against the elements of the barren planet and commandeering a vessel crewed by a band of miscreant Xenos and human mercenaries, the young Primarch would venture forth to find the Emperor. Another account derives from the tome The Transit of the Human Soul Through Strife, also known as the Codex Hydra.
Damn.
Its ancient writings state that the Primarch would descend upon the world of Bar Savor.
Bar Savor.
Its skies overcast with the shadows of gigantic worm-like Xenos, the Slaw. The horrific creatures would attempt to sate their hunger with the flesh of the Primarch.
Oh.
Capturing the Lord of Serpents, the strange Xenos would keep the Primarch as a curiosity as they beheld his innate strength and ability to resist their manipulations. Converting ALPHARIUS into a living weapon, the Slaw would enslave the young Primarch's mind and set him loose upon the stars.
Really?
Saved by the Emperor, ALPHARIUS' mistreatment would fuel the Master of Mankind's vengeance to crush the Xenos, and for 10 Terran Standard years, the Emperor would salvage his son's fractured mind. This is also a lie, for an account of the Primarch of the 20th remains, for those whom delve into the depths of the Hydra's deceptions.
So many lies about where he came from.
The true record of his origins would be decried as further deception of the Primarch's origins.
That's hilarious. So even like the story that he wrote is even just deemed a lie at this point. So he was lying about himself. So he had a lie upon a lie upon a lie, and then he had like a tell-all that he released, and that also turned out to be a fucking lie as well. God damn it, dude. What a guy. This guy's a fucking trickster, you know? He doesn't like he doesn't like being very truthful here, does he?
Would be decried as further deception of the Primarch's origins, as the Primarchs of his Imperium would be scattered across the galaxy by the manipulations of the ruinous powers. The twin Primarchs of the 20th Legion would be separated. ALPHARIUS would never leave Holy Terror, and in contradiction of Imperial records, would be the first of the Emperor's sons to be reunited with the Master of Mankind.
Really?
Within the shadow of the Imperial Palace, upon the Zaranam Plateau, a group of scavengers would set upon the young Primarch. The Emperor would find his son and slay the scavengers to prevent knowledge of his existence from spreading across Terra. Mentored by the Master of Mankind and his most trusted advisor, Malcador the Sigillite, the young Primarch would learn the value of secrecy, necessity, and the elevation of the vision of the Imperium above personal glory. No mortal soul of the Imperium would know of ALPHARIUS' existence, and it would not be long before the Primarch of the 20th would test his innate talents and abilities. Disguising himself as a member of the First Legion, ALPHARIUS would observe the palace coup to remove the custodian Captain General, Constantin Valdor, from power.
What the fuck?
The conspirators of the Grand Provost Marshal of the Adeptus Arbites, Uoma Kandawire, Thunder Warriors Primarch, Ushatan, and scientist Amara Hastati would demand reprisal for the Custodian's massacre of the Emperor's Thunder Legion without the consent of the High Lords of Terra. With the failure of the coup, ALPHARIUS would seek flaws within the defenses of the Imperial Palace and exploit its weaknesses.
Really?
Attempting to assassinate.
So ALPHARIUS, very interesting. So ALPHARIUS was arguably, according to this, potentially the first Primarch found, and he was kind of raised on Terra. So he was kind of with the custodians there in a sense, just fucking testing out weaknesses in the Imperial Palace on Terra itself, starting coups, seeing who was loyal, who was unloyal. Damn, dude, like he was kind of doing a lot. He seems like a very big MVP. I wonder how much of the defense on Terra, like straight up, is like in part due to ALPHARIUS, like finding a weakness, a chink in that armor. And I don't know much about him, like in the modern 40k sense. He's a traitor, right? I guess he's got to be a traitor, right? Alpha Legion? Yeah, has to be, right? Yeah, Traitor Legion for sure.
Palace and exploit.
Again, I really know nothing about them.
Attempting to assassinate the Master of Mankind in order to test the Custodian's abilities.
Wow.
ALPHARIUS would come close to assailing the Emperor and slay a member of the Legio Custodes during his infiltration of the palace. The Primarch's ingenuity and resolve to identify flaws within the palace would be the first of the Legio's vaunted blood games, to which the Emperor's Praetorians would to this day continue.
Really?
Meanwhile, ALPHARIUS'
So he started that shit.
Omegon would land upon a nameless world bereft of life.
So they are two people. They're twins. Okay. So that, yeah. Okay. So I was right. Yeah. So initially I was correct. ALPHARIUS and Omegon, but they are twins. So they're like the same, but they're not. Yeah. Okay. I got it. I got you now. That makes sense. Fair enough.
Among the empty ruins of the planet, the distant Primarch would discover an ancient relic, the Pale Spear, and study the remnants of the planet's former civilization. Escaping aboard a vessel piloted by human pirates, Omegon would venture into the expanse of the stars and hear tales of the Emperor, his angels, and the Primarchs of his Imperium. In secret, ALPHARIUS would conceal his identity, as several sons of the Emperor would be brought into the fold.
Really?
Disguised as an Hastatis, during the Emperor's reunion with Primarchs Lionel Johnson and Lorgar Aurelian,
Really?
ALPHARIUS would in secret lead his Ghost Legion in their covert dealings across the stars.
So they are just straight up like the fucking, like the secret police of like I know that's kind of like what the Inquisition almost is, but the Inquisition is not really a secret, you know? Like the Inquisition is very much just like an in your face, like get the fuck on the ground, we're taking you with us. Like these guys very much seem like a if the Inquisition is like the secret police, these guys would be like the fucking KGB. You know what I'm saying? Almost in a sense. Like they're in there, they're mixed up, like they are their own legion, but they're separated amongst other legions under the unity of their legion because their full goal is intrigue. It's very, very interesting how they operate here. Yeah, like they really do not operate under any conventional means or like any other legion does from the sounds of it. I'm sure you still do have like the overall like legion structure, but you can't really like work upon that when you're disorganized as much as these guys are. So they very much they're like agents in their own way. They're like sleeper cells essentially is how I can imagine this. Like goddamn.
Would hide in plain sight and leave no evidence of their
also the fact that he was there for like all these Primarchs being found. Wow.
Yet with the installment of each Primarch with their legion, the 20th would reveal themselves to their brethren. During the Rangdan Xenocides, the Alpha Legion would present themselves to the First Legion, the Dark Angels. Under the guise of a nondescript Hastatis, ALPHARIUS would meet with the Lord of the First, Lion L. Johnson. Offering aid to the First Legion in their war against the Slaw, ALPHARIUS would deny his identity as a Primarch to the Lion and succeed in his deception.
Really?
For the Alpha Legion, though alike to the First in their championing of secrecy, had not offered aid out of trite notions such as honor or cooperation. They sought a being upon the world of Bar Savor, Omegon. Slaying the Slaw in their path, the Alpha Legionaries led by ALPHARIUS would reunite with Omegon. Instantly recognizing one another, the soul of the Legion would become whole for the first time since its inception.
Damn.
The time had come for ALPHARIUS to reveal his being to humanity, yet conceal the existence of his twin from not only the Imperium and its Primarchs, but also the Emperor. ALPHARIUS would proffer that the twins shall interchange their names to sow confusion within the Imperium.
I see. So they changed their names. How did the Emperor not know that Omegon existed? Like, so are they... So this is almost like two Primarchs for one Legion kind of thing. Like, that's what's going on here. It's very, very unique to only them. Like, there's no other Legion that operates like this. Like, I couldn't imagine any other Legion operating with two Primarchs, like what the command structure of that would look. But these guys are like fully interchangeable. Like they're straight up homies. Like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter to them. It's very, very strange to like, to know and hear all this. I just wonder how the Emperor didn't know. I'm sure we're going to find out here. Let's keep going, but goddamn.
That the twins shall interchange their names to sow confusion within the Imperium, should their identities be discovered, and with such obfuscation, the Primarchs of the 20th would become ever more mysterious within even their own ranks. The Alpha Legion would be known to the Imperium, yet the Emperor would seem hasty to implement the so-called last Primarch and his Legion into the Great Crusade. Already veterans of 100 Shadow Wars, the Ghost Legion would increase their proficiency in waging war, with two Primarchs leading their ranks.
Yeah.
Despite their secrecy, the Emperor would not be blind to the existence of Omegon, and allow the twin Primarchs to wage war in his name, unhindered. ALPHARIUS would lead the 20th, with Omegon as his most trusted advisor. The Primarchs' cunning and intelligence would be without peer, even among their Primarch brethren, as the 20th would follow in their example and be renowned for their disciplined unity among their ranks. Coordinating intricate and deadly warfare characterized by sabotage assassination, and disruption, the Alpha Legion would not allow any of their brother legions to peer too closely into their arts of war and dealings.
That's so fucking scary, dude. It's scary because, like, yeah, you literally don't know what they're doing. They don't act with the Imperium as a whole. They act for the Imperium, but they're not led by any sort of like goal or doctrine, at least one that's obvious. Like, they're not, you know, I guess the better way to put this would be like the Great Crusade has many avenues to completion. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like, what exactly all those avenues could potentially be, who the fuck knows? But it seems that ALPHARIUS OMEGON here seems like they both have like got their own kind of like vibe going on. Now, I don't know if this is what the Emperor intended. I'm sure it had to have been, right, to some degree. But then it makes me think of, how did he not know there were two? Well, he did know there were two, but like, how did he, I don't know, forget? Like, I don't know. Let's keep watching.
Into their arts of war and dealings. Arrogance and superiority complexes would begin to fester within the Legion, for the 20th had always looked down upon its more barbaric and unsophisticated brethren. The Legiones Astartes would bear a great distrust against the Alpha Legion and their primarchs, for even the primarchs of his Imperium would forever be wary of their ploys and misdirection. Despite being the last legion to openly reveal itself to the Imperium, with many of its glories and deeds retracted from Imperial records, the now visible legion would quickly prove its efficacy. Among the most efficient legions to bring worlds into compliance, it is debatable among Imperial scholars if the 20th can be proclaimed among the most lauded legions of the Imperium during the years of unification and the Great Crusade. All that can be
some of the
known for
best
certain is that their methods combined with a willingness to sacrifice anything for victory would deem the Alpha Legion to be a singularly devastating force. Their pedigree would foster infamy among the ranks of the Astartes, as rivalries would
their
form
armor looks
against
sick.
the Ghost Legion, with even the sons of the Emperor harboring grudges and acrimony against ALPHARIUS.
I can see why, though.
With the primarchs of the Ultramarines, Rabute Guilliman, and Death Guard, Mortarion, bearing the most spite against ALPHARIUS for his seemingly dishonorable tactics, the Lords of Serpents would make no attempt to cooperate with his detractors.
That makes sense. I figure like Guilliman must hate fucking ALPHARIUS's guts, dude. Like, they're like the complete opposite almost. Like, Guilliman is full of honor, out in the openness. Like, you know, he will keep things a secret that he deems necessary to, but it fucking, like, it literally does eat him up to do so. Like, you see it like physically, like, mentally strain him to do such things. ALPHARIUS is the complete fucking opposite. That's his entire fucking shtick. He will lie dead to your face, and like, it will not be obvious for years to come that it was a lie or that any sort of misdirection took place. It's fucking nuts to me.
Of Serpents would make no attempt to cooperate with his detractors. Yet not all would balk at ALPHARIUS's methods of waging war, with the chief among his praise, War Master Horus Lupercal, valuing his elaborate strategies and battle doctrines. An endorsement which would prove fatal during the era of the Horus Heresy.
Right.
The Lupercal would be the only primarch to which ALPHARIUS could be considered familiar, and with the fall of the War Master to the clutches of chaos, the Alpha Legion would be called to join his rebellion. Influencing Horus's gambit to ambush the loyalist counterattack of Istvan V, the Lord of Serpents' deceptive nature would be the foundation for the first devastation of the Emperor's forces. The Alpha Legion would pledge their allegiance to the traitors to the throne, though their decision to side with the War Master is debated by many chroniclers of the history of the Imperium.
It's a debate,
Reports
really.
Suggest that ALPHARIUS OMEGON would be visited by an agent of the Xenos organization, the Cabal, in an attempt to steer humanity's future to salvation. Met by the human perpetual, John Grammaticus, during the compliance of
Grammaticus.
the Cabal would impart the Hydra with portents of the future. Their visions would show humanity's path split into two possible futures. Should the Alpha Legion remain loyal, the traitors to the throne would be defeated, yet the Emperor would be interred upon a golden throne as a living dead avatar of humanity's slow decline into extinction. Destined to wage a grueling war of survival against the malevolent forces of the galaxy, the Imperium would slowly rot from within until its inevitable defeat and extinction by the forces of chaos.
Damn.
However, should the 20th side with the traitors, Horus would usurp the Emperor. Realizing his folly, the War Master would cast off the shackles of chaos and begin his utter devastation of the forces of the ruinous powers. The Imperium would sacrifice itself to persecute the destruction of chaos, and after 100 years of slaughter, humanity would in its death knell extinguish the malevolent dark gods. Forewarned.
Interesting. That's a very interesting, like, foretelling of it. Like, so it was told, like, if they sided with Horus, Horus would win. And then once he won, Horus would realize, oh fuck, this chaos shit really isn't all that. And he would wage a war against chaos, versus the Emperor just chose to kind of like not engage with it in any sense and leave it be until it was too late almost. Very interesting way of putting it. I don't know. I personally don't believe Horus. I think he was fully corrupted at that point. I think if he killed the Emperor and he ascended the throne, as it were, yeah, no. Like, I think he would be Chaos's little bitch, if you want me to be honest. I think they'd be bending him every day, but that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
With the future portents of humanity, ALPHARIUS would decide the means of the Imperium's fated extinction. Humanity shall sacrifice itself to allow for the survival of sentient life across the galaxy, or wage a grueling war of attrition for 10,000 years before its painful annihilation. Resolving to join the traitor rebellion to ensure the destruction of chaos from within,
I see. That's also a good
by the Cabal would nonetheless be made in vain.
See, and then it's another thing, like, are they actually joining chaos, or is it just purely another ALPHARIUS ploy? Like, who the fuck knows, right? Because they could always just turn coat last second and be like, oh yes, I was a quadruple agent, motherfucker, you stupid idiot. How could you fall for this obvious trap? Like, what? Fuck me. Like, yeah, like, what side is he really playing here? I guess no one really knows. Goddamn.
The futures outlined by the Cabal would with time be proven false. Yet the Alpha Legion would march for war. Persecuting campaigns simultaneously, ALPHARIUS Omegon would begin their first act of betrayal during the massacre of Istvan V.
Right.
Aiding the traitor legions in culling the Iron Hands, Salamanders, and Raven Guard during their assault of the War Master's forces, the Alpha Legion would battle their once allies. The primarchs of the 10th and 18th Legion would fall, yet the Raven Lord of the 19th, Corvus Corax, would flee from the battle. Attempting to ensure a swift victory for the War Master, ALPHARIUS would dispatch operative Hastatis within his legion to infiltrate the fleeing Raven Guard. Carving the faces from the dead Raven Guard slain upon Istvan V.
Oh, what the fuck?
The legionaries would graft the skin of their faces to their own and consume the brains of the fallen to glean memories of their service.
Holy shit.
Boarding the fleeing vessels of the massacre, the Alpha Legion would bide their time during the Raven Guard's transit to Holy Terror.
And that would be so easy to infiltrate too, because yeah, they're literally in a panic, like retreating, right? Like they're fleeing from Istvan at this point. Nobody's fucking keeping exact count. Nobody's keeping track exactly, right? Literally all you'd have to do is don the armor, board the ship, and you would be going on your way to Terra, I bet. You wouldn't even have to, like, you know, I'm sure like eating the brain, getting their memories back, grafting the face, you know, that's all good steps. But I dare say not even necessary for how like disorganized that retreat probably was. Like, let's be real here. Like, you could have probably just straight up hopped ship and got to Terra that way. As bad as that is to say, like, it was pretty desperate.
The Alpha Legion would bide their time during the Raven Guard's transit to Holy Terror. The 19th, with the guidance of the Emperor, would discover the genetic materials of the primarchs within the long-dormant gene labs of Terra, and would attempt to hasten the replenishment of their numbers. Omegon would command the infiltrators to steal a sample of the materials and inject a virus into the remaining genome available to the Raven Guard.
Oh, right.
Horrifically mutating the Raven Guard's subsequent implanted subjects, the tainted stock of the Primarch genome.
I do recall that.
To prevent the 19th's resurgence. Omegon would retrieve the Raven Guard's experiment data from their laboratories and spark a rebellion between the guilds of Kiovar in order to cover his exfiltration. Handing over the data, as well as a viable and tainted sample of the Primarch's genome to his twin, the treachery of the Alpha Legion would continue. Delivering the sabotaged data to the War Master, the 20th would keep a copy of the successful research for themselves to further bolster their legion, for the 20th would look to their own survival above both their allies and opponents.
Right.
Cutting ties with the Cabal.
They're more in it for themselves than anything else.
Information and confusion for the remainder of the Horus heresy. Forming a blockade within the Chondak system, the 20th would be tasked to confront the White Scars Legion and hinder their involvement in the Civil War. Sabotaging astropathic communication upon the facility of Tenebrae 950, the Alpha Legion under the command of Omegon would stall the 5th Legion's assessment of the conflict. Yet strangely, with the facility's destruction, communication between the Primarch Jagatai Khan and Rogel Dawn would be established, leading to many questioning the efficacy of the Alpha Legion's orders. As the 5th Legion attempted
Efficacy of their orders, or plot armor, or, you know, the author may be forgetting that exactly that took place. Who knows? Somebody actually let me know the exact reasoning for that if they know. Is that like a mistake with the writing? Just out of curiosity, it almost seems like it, but again, somebody let me know for sure.
Questioning the efficacy of the Alpha Legion's orders. As the 5th Legion attempted to breach the Alpha Legion's blockade, the Hydra would not deign to respond to their hails. Attempting to prevent their passage without the use of firepower, the Alpha Legion would, despite their best efforts, be forced to engage the White Scars. The 5th Legion would form an arrowhead formation and destroy a large proportion of the 20th Legion's escort vessels before passing through the blockade and traversing the warp.
Right.
Their orders to contain and recruit the White Scars had utterly failed, with some questioning the loyalties of the Hydra for their uncharacteristically flawed strategies. ALPHARIUS OMEGON was no fool, and had somehow managed to bolster the Loyalist war effort.
Strange, eh?
Mortarion, Primarch of the Death Guard, would raise his suspicion of the Alpha Legion's allegiance to the Loyalists, yet be unsuccessful in convincing the War Master of their deceit. As a means to test their loyalty, the War Master would command the Hydra to travel to the Alaxis Nebula to destroy the 6th Legion, the Space Wolves.
Okay.
Already battle-wearied by the burning of Prospero,
Right.
the Rout had been deceived in their manipulation to destroy the Thousand Suns Legion, and suffered many casualties for their transgression. ALPHARIUS OMEGON had long been opposed to the 6th Legion's Primarch, Leman Russ, for his overt disdain for the Hydra's reliance on underhanded tactics.
Right.
Relishing the opportunity to
They also are complete opposites, to be fair. Russ and ALPHARIUS, like, again, Russ is like brash, he's out in the open, he's gonna attack you right away, you know. He's not gonna make it a secret, his wants, what he's going to do, you know. It's just complete opposite characters again. So yeah, I can definitely see where that rivalry would come from, that's for sure.
Hydra's reliance on underhanded tactics. Relishing the opportunity to humble the Vilca Fenrica, ALPHARIUS OMEGON would ambush the Space.
Also, I'm liking the Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2 music.
As the Ghost Legion brought the Rout to heel, Leman Russ would send a distress signal petitioning aid from the White Scars. Still unsatisfied with his assessment of the conflict and unsure of the Rout's loyalties, Jagatai Khan would abstain from lending his might to the 6th Legion. The Space Wolves would desperately fight tooth and nail to survive against the Serpent, and despite the resolve of the Wolf King waning, the Rout would endure. With the arrival of the Dark Angels Legion, the Hydra would flee the battle and seek a new war zone to influence the tide of the heresy. As the traitors assembled upon the world of Ulanor, the agents of the Hydra would facilitate the will of the Lord of Serpents. Holy Terror braced itself for the final siege of the Imperial Palace, as fleets stationed throughout the Sol system prepared for the first wave of the assault. Rogel Dawn, Primarch of the Imperial Fists, would fortify the Sol system into a deadly kill zone. ALPHARIUS would see a challenge befitting his ego and orchestrate his great scheme to not only defeat the 7th Legion, but humiliate them.
Right.
Alpha Legion operatives would enact their micromanaged tasks and objectives in order to breed disarray within the ranks of the Praetorians of Terror. Long dormant sleeper cells would activate across the Sol system,
sleeper cells.
And with time, gaps within Dawn's carefully crafted bastion would form.
Like, I imagine, yeah, he's got probably people everywhere. He's probably got custodies technically under his fucking thumb too, dude. Like, I imagine he's probably got people absolutely everywhere at this point, given like the fact that he's, you know, potentially been on Terra from the start, potentially, you know, all the years working alongside the Emperor, testing out kinks in the Imperial Palace, all that shit. He knows exactly what's going on, you know? And I'm sure Dorn probably, like, you know, patched a lot of this up, or, you know, as best as he could. but the guy who found all these flaws in the first place is the one attacking you, you know? That's so brutal. That's so brutal.
And with time, gaps within Dawn's carefully crafted bastion would form. Capturing several moons in orbit of Pluto, ALPHARIUS would challenge the Primarch of the Imperial Fists to conclude their game of wits. Personally leading his men against Dawn, ALPHARIUS would charge into battle, armed with the Pale Spear, and duel his erstwhile brother.
Damn.
ALPHARIUS would best Dawn in combat and deliver a final strike to end the life of the Primarch of the 7th Legion.
Fuck.
However, Dawn would anticipate the blow, and after pivoting to allow the spear to impale his shoulder, Rogal Dawn would pin ALPHARIUS in place and sever his brother's arms with his chainsword, Storm's Teeth. Taking the Pale Spear from ALPHARIUS, Dawn would plunge the weapon into his chest, and with a final chop of Storm's Teeth, crush ALPHARIUS' skull.
Damn, dude.
With the death of their Primarch, the Alpha Legion would retreat from the battle. Omegon would feel the bond with his brother die and realize that his twin had been slain.
Really? So that was actually him that died? I kind of thought that was going to be another, like, misdeception, you know? Like, there's no way he'd take that fight and lose. Like, no, that's surely just some Astartes in disguise or something like that. No, that was actually him. Fuck, okay, wow. Wow, yeah, I imagine, like, that link between them is so strong. Yeah, you probably knew right away that he died. Damn, dude.
The bond with his brother die and realize that his twin had been slain. Dispatched to delay the White Scars and Space Wolves from aiding Terra's defense, the Hydra for the remainder of the Horus Heresy would conduct stalling tactics and lesser engagements. Assuming his brother's name once more, Omegon would alone meet with the War Master prior to the final assault of the Siege of Terra. Handing the War Master layouts of the now weakened defences of the Sol system, the Lord of Serpents would relinquish his fealty to the traitors.
Really?
Holding a dagger within his palm, Omegon would shatter it within his fist and cast the shattered fragments of its edge at the War Master's feet.
Really?
Departing from Horus's sight, despite the protestation of the first captain of the Sons of Horus, Ezekiel Abaddon.
Yeah, suck my dick, Abaddon.
Would permit his brother to leave unscathed.
Really?
The Alpha Legion would depart from the traitor fleet, and Omegon would grieve for his fallen twin. With the demise of the War Master at the hands of the
Horus
Emperor,
actually let him go.
The Alpha Legion would retreat to the far eastern region of the...
Not only did he let him go, but the way he did it, the way he symbolically, like, hey, we were in it, I helped you, I'm done, my legion just wants to fucking live. Like, technically, my brother, the leader of our fucking legion, just died, right? I'm his twin, but he's dead. So that's us done. Like, see ya. And Horus just kind of took that and was like, sure. You know, yeah, you guys, you know, you did your piece. You gave us the plans of Terra. You gave us the plans in the Sol system. What's going on there? You did your piece. Sure, leave. And if not, because he probably knows, like, he's probably going to get fucking assassinated if he says no. Like, that's the problem here, right? Like, does he need another fucking assassination attempt on his life? Probably not. Goddamn.
Master at the hands of the Emperor, the Alpha Legion would retreat to the far eastern region of the galaxy. Insular in their dealings and seeking no cooperation from their former allies, the Alpha Legion under the command of their sole Primarch would engage covert wars of survival. During the scouring of the traitors, the Ultramarines Primarch, Rabute Gilliman, would confront the Alpha Legion on the remote world of Escrador, and within their headquarters face an Astartes regarding himself as ALPHARIUS. Seeking a chance to prove his superiority against the Lord of Ultramar, the so-called ALPHARIUS would duel the Primarch of the 13th Legion.
God damn.
Yet for his hubris,
yeah, I imagine
this would
this
be slain.
Yeah.
Or whether his identity would in truth be Omegon, or simply another imposter of the 20th Legion, remains unknown. A solo...
It was 100% an imposter, 100% an imposter. I feel like after ALPHARIUS, the real ALPHARIUS died, that probably was just the doctrine. Omegon was probably just like, yeah, fuck it, just all of us call each other ALPHARIUS, they're never gonna know who's who. Straight up, they'll never know, and they won't be able to actually do anything to us, right? Like, it's a good idea, it's smart. So my cat's crying, damn.
Another imposter of the 20th Legion remains unknown. A solar week following, Gilliman's forces would be ambushed by the Alpha Legion in a manner seemingly impossible for a legion bereft of their Primarch's guidance.
That's what they thought.
The Ultramarines would be forced to retreat from the planet after suffering catastrophic losses.
Really?
In the wake of their defeat, question the fate of the Lord of Serpents. For the Alpha Legion still roamed the galaxy, as fractured warbands of varying loyalties.
Right.
Autonomous bands inhabiting asteroid fields, barren planets and space hulks. The Hydra remains an unknowable force, poised to interfere with the best-laid plans of loyalists and traitors alike. The Imperium claim that the Lord of Serpents is dead, but this is a lie.
It is, definitely.
The Hydra remains unsevered, despite the loss of its twin. And so long as the bisected Primarch remains, his schemes and plots shall endure to wreak havoc across the stars.
Fuck.
We are all an aspect of the Allfather, or have a manner in which we serve. He has his Castellan, his Herald, his Siege Master, his Governor, his... Here Russ paused and cast a glance over his shoulder at where Magnus stood, some distance away.
Oh no.
Sorcerer. The Wolf King finished, in tones of distinct displeasure. I said nothing. Russ had not listed himself in his speech. There was little doubt what his role was, at least to anyone who had seen the wolves fight. Russ has a fury in battle that is near a match for Angron's, but he possesses a tighter focus.
Right.
The Wolf King is our father's executioner. I expect at least one of my departed brothers could have attested to that, although I have absolutely no evidence to suggest that is the case. Call it a feeling, if you will. So I'll ask you one more time, Russ said, fixing me with a stare that would have reduced a mortal to a quivering wreck. What are you supposed to be? I smiled at him again. I'm the one that keeps secrets. For a moment,
Oh
I
no.
wasn't sure how he was going to react. Then his face split into a wide smile that showed his long canines. The only genuine smile I believe I have ever been the cause of for Leman Russ, and he barked a laugh. Ha! Well, in that case, I'm surprised there's only one of you.
Wow.
This has been a tale of the great...
Just goes to show you, man, like even they had no idea like how close they were, man. Like how fucking close they were. They had no idea. Wow. Little like tidbits like sprinkled in like that in the books and whatnot. I'm sure that's a really, really cool detail. Wow.
This has been a tale of the great Imperium of Man, read by the Remembrancer. Thank you all for joining me in my elucidations of the Primarchs of his Imperium. Though their deeds are now mired in mystery, alike to ALPHARIUS, with time we shall glean fragments of their glories. For the Imperium still stands, and with patience, its greatest foes and champions shall rise to decide the fate of humanity.
Damn, dude. That was really good. That was ALPHARIUS OMEGON, Lord of Serpents, Warhammer 40k by the Remembrancer. Never checked that channel out before. We're gonna leave a subscribe there. How could I not? That was fantastic. Good bit of knowledge there, and a lot of like context sprinkled in. I'm really glad we kind of waited on this because I would not have had the context for a lot of what he was talking about if we checked this out sooner. So I'm really, really glad we kind of waited to check out ALPHARIUS a little bit there, because man, that was great. It filled in a lot of gaps, and just to like realize how fucking close ALPHARIUS or Omegon was to like some of these huge events in the heresy or the build up to the heresy. Kind of insane. Also, somebody let me know, I know he said at the end there, the Alpha Legion is much divided, like it has a lot of divided loyalties now. Are they all still Chaos Undivided? Do they follow a specific Chaos god? I'm assuming Tzeentch, but you know, I'm not too sure. Somebody let me know, kind of thing. And yeah, if you guys enjoy, make sure you leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and of course leave your recommendations down in the comments below. I apologize for Chancey here. He's trying to get his 2 seconds of fame, it seems like, you know. He's trying to be a little talker at the end there, trying to get his vocals in. Yeah, hi. Come here. Come here. Come here, do you want in? He's being shy. He's being camera shy. But if you guys enjoy, make sure you leave a like, subscribe for more content for me, and of course leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Big thank you to all of our members, all of our Hastati, our Principe, Dagenhart, and Hobbit, and of course our Prefect Fear. Appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day. And with that, guys, this has been Centurion. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, guys.